Less than 30 seconds now in regulation. Could this take extra time? 16 seconds. Here's Dial. Send it up at the point, J. Lalu. Call midget now, but Matt, 6 seconds, 5, Dalfan coming out. He gets around in 2 seconds. He's got to do it quick. Shoot, the scores, 1 second left.
What's going on here? It's Dial here with another episode of the Faceoff interview series, or the Face-to-Face-Off. How do you feel about that name, by the way? Does that sound corny to you?
The
Face-to-Face-Off?
Yeah, that's real bad.
I mean, I kind of like it just because it is corny. I think it's kind of hilarious.
Well, wasn't your other one super corny too? The one that you did with
It was just called the Face-Off. And that's why, like, this
the
is
one with Dick Dug?
Yeah. And this
Oh.
is the interview series spin-off of that. So I think it was Skis who suggested we call it the Face-to-Face-Off.
That's so funny. No, yeah, that's good. I like it.
I think it's perfectly, I don't want to say mediocre, but like kind of shitty, which is great.
You're like right in the sweet spot. It's awesome.
Exactly. Yeah. So yeah, Matt, what's going on?
Nothing much, man. Just chilling,
Good to have
living.
you here. Good to have you around for what, the first time in like a year, it feels like.
At least it's been a long time.
Yeah, we really got to play hockey together here soon.
For sure.
Do you know how many pubs I've had to play without you, and how painful that is?
No, fuck it. Fuck pubs. Fuck pubs.
I mean, I agree completely, but at least it's mildly entertaining when the two of us can have some fun with it.
Yeah.
But
We've
you're
gotten
leaving
in trouble
me
for
here.
that before, so.
Oh, well, yeah, can't stack pubs. We'll leave that alone, though. So, yeah, so you're actually, of the little intro, I don't know if you remember, but the little intro for the podcast, I keep it the same. And it's a clip of you scoring on my team, like season 8, I think, to beat us with like 1 second left.
Oh, that's so fitting.
Yeah, it is. Winters was the one who casted it, and I did an interview with him. Daltham was on the team with me, and Net, he's the one you scored on. I did an interview with him. So we're slowly going through all the people whose hearts you broke. So thanks, man. Appreciate that.
No, yeah, of course.
So Matt, we'll go through a quick intro for you before we get into the questions. So I know you can't see this right now, so you'll have to just enjoy it for what it is. But you're pretty much considered by just about everybody to be the best player to ever play the game, at least the best North American player. Get into that a little more in a little bit. But you've also served on the LHL Board of Commissioners. You're one of the 2 people who brought 5v5 play to North American HQM.
Shout out to Super Hawkloo for a second there.
Well, yeah, we don't like to give him too much credit, right? It'd go to his head.
Isn't he married?
Not quite, I think.
No, I'm pretty sure he's married. I hope he's
They're
listening.
engaged, or they've been engaged for a very long time. So,
I think
but
they
yeah,
have
the
kids.
2 of you. I hope not.
I think they have
For his
grandkids.
sake, I really hope not. So you played for multiple international teams, whether that be Team Canada, Team USA. Well, not really Team USA, really Team NA is what we called it, but it was basically Team USA plus Matt.
Yeah.
Kind of pretending like you're part of the United States. Stole you. And you've also, in that time, in addition with being a player and all those other things, you produced a lot of video content for the community, including highlights, top 10 plays, bunch of tutorials, and then some other entertaining videos that take some jabs at some specific people and developers. But one of them might have caused a pretty big issue, but yeah, it's all right.
A couple of them are on some pretty big issues.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah.
Like
the trade
HQM
is
Media Network.
The trade is one of the funniest things. That rap battle.
Yeah.
Elf and I love that.
Oh, those were the times.
Love that. And that Body by Smidge. I wish that was more popular.
Oh,
We got to bring that one back.
it's just like no one got the joke. I'm pretty sure that was just a joke between me and you.
Yeah. We found it funny. That's what mattered, right?
That's what matters.
Right, so as a player, you've got 410 points in your career. You're plus 170, and you did all that in only 123 games played. I think you're 7th all time in scoring, and everybody above you has like twice as many games played as you do. So to break that down more, you have just over 300 goals, just over 100 assists, and almost 50 game-winning goals in that 120 games played. Played in 9 LHL seasons, made the playoffs 6 times, made the finals 4 times, and ended up winning 2 of them. You GM'd 3 times, one of them taking over for me after an incident that we're never going to refer to again.
I was actually planning on referring to it later in the interview, but go on.
I was kind of hoping you wouldn't, and here we are. You're putting me on the spot. But
Here we are.
you had a just under a 60, well, just under 59 really % win rate during your GM time in the regular season. You also GM for 40 postseason games, which is absurd. You almost GM for more postseason games than regular season games. And in that time, you have a 67.5% win rate. You never missed the finals in a season as GM, so you made it 3 out of 3 times. And you're one of the only GMs to ever try to tank a season and fail so badly at tanking that you won the cup. So that's pretty nifty, right?
That's pretty nifty.
That's a fun piece of trivia for you. Are you
Yeah.
planning on talking about that later on in the show as well?
Yeah. I mean, yeah. We'll get to that.
So looking
A
at
lot of
your
juicy info here.
Oh yeah, there will be plenty. Too much for the 1 hour that this is planned for, I'm sure. Maybe we'll have to do a second go around in the future. But in terms of career achievements, you're a 4-time LHO All-Star, won the cup twice, won playoff MVP twice, won regular season MVP twice. You led the league in assists once. You won the best team play award once. You won the best GM award once. You were rookie of the year in, I think, season 2. Yeah, I want to say it's season 2. You
I
got
think
the
so.
cup-winning goal in season 4. You have the following list of records. I hope you're ready for this. This is going to take a little bit. Highest points per game in a 5v5 season, highest goals per game in a 5v5 season. You also have the 3rd highest goals per game in anyone's 5v5 career. You have the 1st and 2nd highest points per game in a 4v4 season, the highest goals per game in a 4v4 season, the highest assists per game in a 4v4 season, the 2nd highest points per game in a 4v4 career, 2nd highest goals per game in a 4v4 career, 2nd highest assists per game in a 4v4 career, 2nd highest plus minus in a 4v4 career, and 3rd highest number of game winners in a 4v4 career. You're pretty well decorated there.
I can't believe how much time I fucking spent on this game. Like, honestly, that just makes me embarrassed.
It's really like you did all that in like half the games that somebody like Dalfan did, and Dalfan's one of the only people with like a comparable list of like achievements and accomplishments. And it took him like 200 and something games to do that, and you did it in 123. So a little ridiculous. Just a little. But hey, maybe that's just my opinion. So we'll start out the questions pretty basic. I want to know how you first discovered HQM and when that was.
All right. Oh, geez. That was about, I'd say maybe 4.5 years ago. It was I think it was like it was like New Year's or something. And I was doing nothing. I was a loner. I think this was like in grade 8 or grade 9 or something like that. And yeah, I was just thinking, I think it was like during the winter break in the NHL, so I was craving some hockey, and I think I was looking up hockey games. I think first person hockey was one of my searches. I ended up at Cryptic Sea's blog. And then yeah, I got into it then. That was for a little bit. That was back when like Migo Meepo played in a bunch of the Russians. There was only Russian servers. So like I quit after a while because Migo kept calling me a zombie. And that disheartened me. So I left, and I think I like opened it by accident one day in like the next September or something like that, and that's about the time when like you, Taze, and all them had started the LHL. So, and then from there, I like haven't stopped playing, and I regret every day that I open it.
At least you've been able to stay away better than most of us have.
That's my most proud achievement of this game is my ability to not play the game.
It's almost depressing though with how good you are at it to not play it more. But I had forgotten about that being called zombies. That was the big thing
That
back
was
in
the
the day.
thing.
Yeah, all the Europeans called puck chasers, right? Usually called them zombies because they'd be mindlessly chasing the puck. Be fun to see that one come back. Now there's all sorts of colorful insults that are thrown around that are usually considerably more racist and homophobic and whatnot than zombies. So we'll see if
I'm
that
not
one
caught
makes
up
a
on
comeback.
the HQM memes or the lingo anymore.
That's a good thing. That
I'd
is a
probably
good
sound like a
thing.
dad if I came back.
Well, I just interviewed GK, who is old enough to be a dad to most of the people here. So, and he knows some of it. So I don't know.
DK
You
is
might,
in fact my dad. He's my biological father.
you know, he did say actually that you were by far his favorite player to watch.
That makes me
So it's like a
fucking I love you, GK. If you're listening, fucking love you.
that is a proud father and his son right there.
We have a
Beautiful,
loving relationship.
beautiful combination. I'm sure you guys talk all the time. All right, so I know you play goalie in real life, or you used to play goalie in real life anyway, but you chose to play forward in HQM. Why is that?
You know, I really don't see them having anything to do with each other. You know, like if the game was a little bit more realistic and like, you know, the goalie position was like something different than just you know a player standing in the net. Like I might have been into it, but like you know, it doesn't feel the same. Anyone who plays goalie, like Timu, could probably say like it's not the same. And I think part of it also was when I was playing hockey, I wanted to play player a lot. I think I felt sort of bored in net. I was always on like really good teams, and I would never get shots, and I'd always want to be on the other end of the ice with them. So yeah, that's what started my love for nipping some Genos.
Yeah, and Timu's sort of the same token there, right? Played a lot of goalie. I know he was trying to get on some junior teams for a goalie too, but he plays forward here. I don't really understand it because I feel like it's you say the position is different, but I feel like it's the same sentiment, right? It's like wanting to shut down the opposing team and the satisfaction that comes with that of making like a clutch save and keeping your team in the game.
Yeah, fair. Yeah, fair. I think like I've tried to dabble in goalie in the past and in HQM, but I'm not very good at it. And yeah, I don't know. I always went back to player. I think my love for nipping the Genos is just too strong.
I wish you could see it right now, but I've actually started the video playlist, which has some of the content that you've produced over the couple seasons that you were actively doing that anyway. So we got some like looking at right now a top plays video, highlights
Good
video
ones.
from season 3.
Oh,
Remember that shit? That was 11 seasons ago. Did you think we'd be
Jesus
here still?
Christ.
Yeah, because I didn't. I didn't think we'd be here for season 14. And now
No,
season 15 is coming up next month, so nuts to me. But anyway, yeah, we're gonna have some of these videos playing here. So a couple of the different types of video content that Matt produced, as well as some of his more successful and dominant games. We'll see some highlights of those later on. So, hey, all right, we'll keep it moving. So this one, I'm really interested in hearing your answer to this one because this is something that I've been meaning to ask you for a long time. What did it feel like when you first realized that you were considered the best player to ever play the game?
you know it's I being completely honest, like I never I thought that what I was maybe considered one of like the people who could do you know cool stuff because I just fucked around in the game too much and you know learned how to do weird shit. But like I honestly don't think that I was ever considered like one of or like the best at least. I like
I
I think that like it's false.
You may not consider yourself that, and I mean that does sound to be the case here that you don't think you're the best, but I think about 90% of the community would probably say that you're the best. I'd say that's a pretty fair estimation there. So
I mean,
whether or not you agree with it, definitely a title that you seem to have well earned.
yeah, like
So there was never
it
like a
was cool
moment.
to. Sorry, you go.
I was gonna say there was never like a moment for you where like you really started to hear that, like people say that and think to yourself like, "Wow, I really am like one of the, at least one of the better players to play this game."
Okay. Yeah, yeah, for sure. I think like when a lot of the new waves would come in and you know they'd like ask me if I'm the real Matt or whatever, and it sounded so ridiculous. But I guess like those moments would be the moments where I guess I would consider like that people you know knew of me, knew of like the LHL things that I did or anything like that, or even from the videos. But it was definitely cool, like especially like putting so much time into anything, like getting good at it is rewarding. This game is hard to master, and it's like, like once you get really good at it and can do some cool stuff, like you look back to how you were, and it's rewarding for sure, even though it's just like a dumb hockey video game, but it's fun. I think
The lifestyle, man.
It's true. It's a lifestyle. Sorry, sweaty. Yeah,
Can't forget that.
It's cool for sure.
Well, definitely one of the most innately talented players to ever play the game. So there's a lot that can be said about it. I'm still not entirely convinced that you aren't just a robot that Cryptic made to demonstrate to the rest of us how good we could be at the game.
You're too kind, Dale.
Because that's sort of the vibe that I get, where it just the level of consistency and the ridiculous things that you do. Because that's the thing, right? It's like all the top players, like the really good elite players, can all do crazy shit. But what makes them a step above everyone else is the level of consistency to which they can do that. And you are the one person who can pull it like anything off at will at any point in the game. And it's like you're one of the only players I think that will ever play this game that can just be down a goal with a minute to go in the third period and just decide that you're gonna win the game and go score the goal to tie it and then score another to win it. I mean,
know
I've
we're gonna
seen
be
you do it so many times.
I know we're gonna be getting into 5v5 later, but I think that once the 5v5 era got rushed in, like the cool little like one-on-one plays and whatever things that I like got really good at, like I think that that's where I was neutralized a lot. Like I think that that's where in the 5v5 era for sure, like I don't think I was one of the best players. I think that it like the game caught up to me, like the extra body just like fucked with how I play the game, and I think that I got a lot worse after 5v5 came in.
Well, sort of going off that a bit, there's a lot of speculation regarding your reduced attendance towards the end of your career. So in those 5v5 seasons that you were talking about,
Yeah.
what actually caused that, and why did you ultimately decide to stop playing?
It's neither of them are really a big deal. Like I think that other people have gone through like attendance issues also, but like I've gotten school and like part-time jobs and things like that, and I think it's important for people to know that. And shout out to Burnward. I'm like I kind of fucked his day up, but like I didn't do anything that I did intentionally. Like looking back, like it definitely, it seems pretty weird how like my schedule would get cleared up when I get traded and things like that. It's like I don't blame anyone for like having negative feelings toward me or what I did, but it like as sincerely as I can say it, nothing was done with bad intentions. Like I wasn't trying to lower my draft stock or anything like that.
Because there's definitely been a lot of accusations that as soon as you realize a team isn't good, you decide not to show up anymore. And I've tried to defend you a lot, but it's hard. It's hard, Matt.
For sure,
It's
like
hard when you're not
some
here to help me defend you. I'm blaming you
fair.
for this.
Yeah, it's hard to even defend myself, because like that's the only thing that I can say, like it didn't happen that way, but it from an outsider's perspective, I can totally see that's just like it's very blatant, and the fact that a lot of people considered me like a really good player in this game made them even more mad. You know what I mean? But yeah, nothing was done out of bad intentions, and I'm sorry for everyone that I, have a little less fun in the game if that happened. There and there.
Right. I'm sure with time you've been forgiven. Maybe at some point we'll really get the face-off theme of the face-off going, and we'll bring on some of the people who feel scorned by you.
Oh my god, it'll turn into like a Maury episode.
That would be a lot of fun for me, although that would kind of put you on the spot a bit. Not sure how fair that is to you, but I'd enjoy it. So one
You're a
more
good friend.
thing, and oh yeah, of course. I like to see you squirm a little bit. That's all. Fun. So along the lines of this too, I didn't tell you that I was going to ask this ahead of time, actually. So I'm very curious to hear your sort of natural reaction to it. One of the bigger trying to think of what to call it, incidents, I guess, that you were involved in was that trade that we spoke about earlier with Dalfan, where Dalfan tried to trade for you during season 9, and that was vetoed. Was that something that you asked for? Like, did you request out? Like, how did you feel about that whole incident?
What team was I on again? Do you remember?
You were on Colorado, I think. Colorado or Quebec? I can't remember. I think it was Quebec.
Oh yeah. And McJava was the GM, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think I did ask for a trade. Yeah, I think I asked for a trade. I think that, I think that trade obviously should have been vetoed. I think it was a little nuts. If I was in, like I told McJaba, I didn't, I wasn't saying that I was gonna stop playing if whatever, and my reputation might have seceded me in the fact that, like, he just wanted to get rid of me, like not taking the chance that I wouldn't play. But sincerely, like, McJaba, if you're listening, I would have played. Like I told him, it didn't really matter to me. I thought that I might have had more fun on a different team, whatever. But like if this was the team that I ended up on, it'd be fine. I tried my hardest. Yeah, but I think he just, like, he tried to find whatever value that he could. He found that. He got a little shitty return, but I think the veto was it worked. Like that's what it's designed for. I think that it was very lopsided. Then yeah, it's
You got to be a little disappointed then that that team didn't happen. Even though you say the trade definitely should have been vetoed, you have to be a little disappointed that you weren't able to get on a team with Dalfan and Lucic on it.
And I think Go Leafs Go would have been on that team as well. I think that,
Yeah.
there was a second trade or whatever happening for Leafs. Yeah, that team would have been one of the most fun teams that I played on. Never got to play professionally with Lucic professionally. Except for, I think, season 2 Colorado or whatever, when I first came into the league, but I was a fucking bum, so that
You're
didn't
an
matter.
ex-professional LHL player. It's a very important title, Matt. You got to wear that proudly, the professional tag.
Man, I'm gonna make professional virtual hockey player a thing, but we'll get into that later.
Oh, will we? All right. I'm looking forward to that then.
All right.
All right. So what would you say is the defining moment of your career?
It's got to be the the winning a cup and trading away. I think it was Notled and Taser. I think those were the 2 people that I traded away.
Yep, season 4. I've actually got a couple games of the finals. The ones I could find on YouTube anyway are playing right now from that
Oh,
that
cool.
series in the finals against Toronto.
It was, it was like it was sort of like, it was a luck thing, like I just, like, got on a roll at the right time. I think I, like, even missed a couple of games and then, like, came back for the last couple of the regular season and, like, snuck into the playoffs or something like that. Something to that chagrin played out. But
So for those who don't know, I mean, Notled was an excellent player back then. Taze was arguably even better than he is right now, at least comparatively to the surrounding talent on other teams in the same position. And it was still 4v4 is the other important thing to consider. But why did you decide to trade away those guys and try to tank that season?
honestly, like, at that point, I think I was planning for next season. I think me and you were in cohorts and we wanted to make the Matt and Dale LHL dream alive, and it happened eventually. Anyway, like, that was the final goal. Like, I wanted to tank. I wanted to do so bad, but yeah, I don't know. It's like we kept winning and we tried to take it all the way, and we got lucky enough that we won the games necessary to do so.
Well, the important thing to consider too is back then where you picked the following season was based on how your team did the previous season. So there was actually a reason to consider tanking as opposed to now where it's like it doesn't change anything. The draft order is always based on relative GM skill or talent or on ice contribution, whatever. So something that may not ever occur again. Very unique situation. But you guys like Dick Doug, who you all have shirtless in your name in this video. So that's an entirely different story that hopefully we don't have to get into. But guys like Dick Doug, Ace, and Dalfin, who are all really in their first season as starters in the LHL, and you were able to carry that team over the powerhouse that was Toronto all season long.
And I don't think I carried them very much. Like, I think whatever, like, I scored some goals, but Ace, like, really stepped up. I remember, like, being so impressed with Ace. Ace played phenomenally. Like, he scored some really big goals, like, had some really nice passes. Dick Doug. I think he nipped a couple of Genos as well. He snuck some in there, and I think like that might have been the coming out season for Dolphin as a goalie. In my opinion, he really stepped up in that postseason.
Yeah, he always complains that we don't have playoff stats from it because he swears that he had like a high 70% save rate, like 78 or something like that.
I'd believe him. Like it was
would too.
incredible.
We've already seen him make a couple great saves actually here, watching this replay. So
Oh, cool. Yeah,
been
he's
good.
that was probably like I've been on like teams with like a lot of really good people. I've been on teams with you before, and that was the most fun because like it was a team. Like we really bonded. We had that whole shirtless thing. Like we really bonded, and
It's
then
defying the expectations too, right? Like that's definitely a big part of it.
for sure, it felt really cool to everyone. Yeah, to shatter expectations. That was well said.
All right, so different line of thinking now. What is the biggest regret you have about your career?
Okay. Not winning in season 3, I think. That was the season where Dale left for reasons we shall not mention. I won't throw you under the bus.
It's all right. You can throw me under the bus.
Okay, well,
Okay, go ahead.
Dale left us for a woman, for a 2-week fling. He gave up his
I'm not
buds
gonna
for
comment on any of it. I'm gonna refrain from making commentary.
Anyway, people who know the story, I hope that they're laughing, but I won't get too into it. Anyway,
The only thing I will say in defense, there's more to it than that. But yeah.
I mean, you ended up with some pretty good reasons for it, but anyway.
Yeah, it was sort of there was a lot of stuff that built up to that decision, and then getting a girlfriend was just like the perfect excuse to finally be like, all right, you know what? I don't need to waste my time on this anymore.
Yeah.
But yeah, you guys were up 3-1 in the finals, and then DMB and Lucic.
Yep, we blew it.
A little too good.
They outplayed us for sure, and I think that was my biggest regret. I think that was the closest that I've gotten like without actually winning, and that sucked.
Don't worry, that's my biggest regret too, pal.
Aw.
We're together in that one, so.
Aw. Beauty.
All right, so was there ever a role model you looked up to as a player? And this can be like when you were just starting out, like at some point later on down in your career, at any point really.
Okay. Earlier on in my career, I'd say probably someone like a KS Otto or a Dick McButts, but I think that like my true role model of this game, like someone who, like even if I played this game now, like I'd strive to play like is Crab in a Tree for sure. I find that like the way that he will like see, I don't know, like it's when you witness something that like you don't understand, but like it's really good. You know what I mean? Like he sees, he sees the lanes, like he makes the passes, and it's awesome. Like his passing is, it's crazy. I've always tried to mimic it, but pretty impossible to do. It's one of a kind.
He's probably the best playmaker we're ever gonna see, for sure.
Yep.
I was actually expecting you to bring up Dopey in there somewhere, because I know you and Dopey were very close early on. The two of you were doing a lot of exploration, I guess, of like ways you could break the game or sort of bend the physics of the game to do crazy things.
Oh man, that was so much fun. We like invented a couple of moves. And
well, Dopey came up with the lookup turn, right? That was him that discovered that.
I think so, yeah. And then from there, we tried to make it into like the lookup turn, like with the puck, where like you position the puck on your stick a certain way, and then do like the lookup turn, and you just like you keep the puck. You know what I mean? To be like a really nice way to dangy someone. If anyone can try to work that into their portfolio now, that'd be freaking awesome. But I think like we got it, but it was very spotty. But anyway, he was like, yeah, we would just have sessions where we just, we'd log on, we get on TeamSpeak, we'd fuck around and just in a server, and it was fun. Yeah, Dopey he's a cool guy. Is he around anymore?
Not really. I think sort of work cut into a lot of his time for that. And then the more free time he got, the more he sort of branched off into other games. I think he plays a lot of Dota now.
Gotcha.
I think. Can't remember. I haven't spoken to him in a while, but he's a good guy. Very
That's
good
yeah.
guy.
It's too bad. He doesn't hang around anymore.
Right, we won a cup with him, right? That's all that matters.
Yeah.
All right, so this is like a 3-part question. So who is your favorite player to play with, your favorite player to watch, and then a player that you wish you had gotten a chance to play with?
Oof. Okay. You know, when I was reading the questions before the interview, I was trying to decide, and it's really hard. So the first question is, who is my favorite player to play with, right?
Yes.
It's like a toss up, but I think at the end of the day, like in terms of like most fun, it was probably you.
You
I
don't
think
have
that
to say me just to appease me because I'm here. That's okay. You can pick somebody else.
no,
We know the truth.
I'm serious. I'm serious. I think that like the
Just
most
kidding.
pure fun
I'm
was had with you, for sure, buddy,
I
old pal.
appreciate that, man. I appreciate it. One day we'll get back to that. Maybe if the HQML comes back, we can build up 3P again.
Oh man, maybe on
Just
a
drop
maybe on a
20
new game
goals a
or
game.
something like that.
Well, yeah, maybe. Maybe we'll find out how that's coming in a little bit.
Maybe.
All right, so favorite player to watch, and then a player that you wish you had played with, or wish
Okay.
you had gotten a chance to play with.
Favorite player to watch. I'll have to say Crab. Watching him, you know, like doing all the little things right, like making the little passes and things like that. It's just his game is such a like a detailed oriented game, and you know, he scores some really nice goals, but like the majority of his play, the play where I think that he influences his teams and victories and things like that is he got a lot better at defense, and from there, like with a couple that with the passing, he was unstoppable. Like he could create on like every rush, you know. Yeah, he'd for sure be my favorite player to watch. And I guess did we ever play together?
You did on season 8.
That's what I
You,
thought. I thought
Cap,
that we did. Yeah.
Sammy, and Crab, and Nina.
Yep. Okay. Well, I guess Lucic then from the point before. Well, actually, I guess we played together in season 2, but it wasn't the same. You know, like
Yeah.
we both weren't.
Well,
We
for
got
that
a lot
matter, I
better
mean, you
after that.
didn't get to play a ton with Crab. You got traded to that team, and there were a lot of attendance issues on that team for a lot of the season. So,
Yeah, fair. Okay, well, I'll say either Crab or
those are acceptable answers. Yeah,
yeah.
because you played probably like 10 games with each of them, so
Yeah.
I'll give you that.
Cool.
All right. So, what would be your 5v5 dream team?
Oh man. Okay, so me and Crab on defense.
On
Uh,
defense, huh?
On defense for sure. I
Okay.
that'd be so much
Okay.
fun. Me and Crab on defense. McButts and Dale. Up nipping most of the Genos up there. And Dalfan and net. I think that he should return to net and never leave because he's a fucking god among men.
He's a very good defenseman too. You gotta give
Well,
him credit for that.
I'm a better defenseman than he is. He should stick to goalie.
Damn. Those are some fighting words there, man.
Just kidding, Dalfan. If you're listening, I love you.
It is interesting that you chose not to go with any natural defenseman there. Do you think the concept of like a natural defenseman is overrated and that it's more important to just have the best players possible out on the ice?
It's a mix of things. I think that, you know, like me and Crab will do like well enough defensively. You know, I've always tried to make it work. I think, when I eventually quit playing, I wanted to be an RSL GM, and my goal in mind was to, you know, like a team defense sort of thing. Like whenever you don't have
Like
the
the
puck, like
Russians do.
exactly. I think
Yeah.
that like modeling our game after the Russians would have been awesome. I think that like the way that we do offense is cool. Like there's a lot of really cool things that were happening in the LHL and things that could happen, you know. But the defense was, I think that individual defenders in this game, while like some people are really good and affect the game, like team defense would, you know, it's better than just having like two individual good defensemen back there.
That makes sense. So you're not saying like in a broad spectrum that like natural defensemen are bad per se, just in this specific instance of the dream team where you can pick the best players, that it makes more sense to have high talent.
Absolutely, yeah. And I
Okay.
think that like all the people on that team would be, you know, competent enough to like you know like get into like a system sort of thing. Or
Competent
like
and willing, right? That's the thing. You got to be able to understand it. You got to be able to play it, and you have to be willing to do it.
yeah, and also like willing to adapt to like not play on the system, you know? Like I think that
Yeah.
a lot of the NA game is like that's all it is. It's just like constantly adapting to what they're doing, the other team, but then the other team is also just reacting to what you're doing, and there's no, you know, like no one is opposing their will on each other. At least that's the experience that I had. If I'm offending any GMs, I'm sorry. But I think that yeah, like having competent enough players, we know if something happens, if a defenseman pinches, um, having a you know a forward to like go back and like switch and you know like not be all greedy and start like as soon as he has the puck like committing to a rush, you know, if that's not the best thing possible. So with that team, I think you know like no natural defensemen are really needed for sure.
Okay. So we spoke a bit earlier about how you were part of the BOC. I think it was really for one season, may have been two, but I think it was just the one. But you and Super were the two guys that really pushed us to move to 5v5, something that a lot of people were pretty against, myself included. I was really against the concept of 5v5 because I figured it'd be too sloppy, not enough room on the ice. People would have a really hard time understanding how to position based on one another. And I'm happy to admit that I was completely wrong about that. And that it's been excellent for us. But I'm wondering sort of what you guys were thinking when you decided to push for that, even though you didn't have like total community support behind you. It was pretty split. Why did you guys think that that was the right move at the time? And do you still think it was the right decision, or would you go back to 4v4 like the Europeans still do?
Well, if I was being selfish, I'd say that was like the wrong move and slap me back on a team with Ace and Dick Dog and Dow fan, and we'll fucking win every year. But I think that like our mindset at the time was to you know like increase the parity of the league. I think that like there was if you had a star in a team in 4v4 with open ice, like there's so much that an individual player could do. And while we knew that like there was going to be an adjustment period for 5v5 for sure, like um a lot less ice, like you said, not knowing where to position, you know, just having the extra person on the ice. Though I think that like that would be it would make the better sort of like hockey is a team game, you know, and it would make it more of a team game, I guess. It was an effort to grow like the team play in the league.
So why do you
And
think the Europeans never caught on to that then? Because they tried it and then went back to 4v4.
yeah, it's I think that like them having 4v4 experience for so long and especially having the same teams for so long, I think that that was also very important. But with the LHL, I think that, you know, people were playing it for fun. There wasn't a lot of commitment, and that's totally understandable. They had the team play already there. If you watch any of the Russian games, like they have set plays, they have positions. I played in the whatever league it was. I think I played like a couple games in the IPHL or whatever with a Gorka, and like every time I'd be out of position, like in between periods, he'd, you know, like tell me like this happened, you're supposed to be there. This happened, you're supposed to be there, and you know, like it was like joining a real hockey team and learning like their systems. Their team play was out of this world. You know, like even without mics, they knew where to be and things like that. And in the NA, that just it wasn't happening. So part of my mind in bringing 5v5 in was, you know, it sort of forces you to play more as a team, because if you try to do the one person running through, you know, four defenders with less ice as opposed to three defenders with more ice, like that player, that type of team is going to be neutralized a lot more. And that's what we wanted. You know, we wanted to have like the same sort of style as the Russians, and we thought just adding an extra player would at least force some people to adapt.
Do you agree? This is another question I didn't warn you about ahead of time, but this sort of just came to me through our discussion. Do you
It's
agree
fine.
with the notion that there is sort of a skill cap in this game and that there's a point you reach where you can't really get any better?
Like as an individual or as a
Yeah,
team?
yeah, as an individual.
For sure. I think that because of, you know, like the physicsy parts of the games and the limited mobility and like the lag and like the ping and things like that, there's definitely a cap at, you know, like individuals will have their own caps. But I think as a team, like you know, like you could always be changing, trying different things. Like that's the beauty of team play, is like once someone comes up with like, you know, a really good like rush play or a really good like shutdown defense play for a certain team, other teams adjust, you know, and then you have to adjust to that adjustment, and like it's never like you're really getting better as a team. Like you can, but like you change sort of, if that makes sense. Like you adapt, and that never stops, and in a way that makes the team better, the individuals look better. But
So I know the last couple times you were on teams, not just as a GM, but as a player as well, you're really trying to push more for that style of playing as a team. And a lot of that manifested in like you playing defense and being back, being able to take longer shots, being able to make more consistent breakout passes or skate the puck up when necessary, which goes along with some of the things we spoke about earlier, right? With having just more talented players on the ice. But it seemed like you had a hard time getting a lot of your teammates to sort of buy into that style, and finding success with that as a team, because obviously not everybody's on the same page. You're going to have a hard time running a system. Do you still think that that is definitely the way to go, assuming you could get people that are, capable and willing to do it?
I do, for sure. I think that a lot of the trouble in the LHL was, you know, like people have been playing this game for, you know, like years and years and years now, and like, you know, it's for fun, and that's like how they've developed. You know, like that's how they get the most fun out of the game. Like that's whatever how they like learn to play the game. And I think that not a lot of LHL players, not consciously, you know, not judging their personality at all, but there was a little bit of, whether it's like stubbornness or just like inability to like unlearn what they've already like learned in the game, if that makes sense.
Hard to break habits.
Yeah, for sure. And so that's why when I quit being a player, I really wanted to be an RSL GM or a JSL GM, and you know, like players who like want to make it to the LHL, whatever, and like are willing to improve, and players who have not fully like gotten into their own like game yet, and mold it from there. I think that like the RSL would be a lot more willing of a place to adopt that sort of thing. I'm not saying the LHL like could never, just in the experiences that I've had, the teams that I've had. No offense to anybody, but it wasn't working.
Well, I feel like it's just a lot easier to sort of impart a new mindset on people who haven't been doing the same thing for as long, right?
Yeah, for sure.
Hard to teach an old dog new tricks type
Yeah.
deal. So, okay. So you stepped down from BOC amidst a decent amount of public controversy. I think the thread's been deleted right now, but it's a bit of an incident going on at the time. If you could do it over, would you still have resigned from your position, or would you have held on to it a little longer and tried to sort of impart more changes onto the LHL to make it more like your ideal league?
You know, I don't think I was a really good board of commissioner member at all. I think that I was way out of my league. Um, Super definitely like handled most of the things that were going on. Yeah, it was funny. Um, Dial and I were talking about this before the interview started. Like I don't even remember what I did, honestly. Like I don't think I took it as seriously as I needed to. And you know, if I think I made someone mad and stepped down, and yeah, I really have no regrets. If it happened now, I'd probably do the same thing. Yeah,
So you would
I'm not really
never
sure what else to say about that
consider.
because I don't remember. Sorry.
That's okay. So you would never consider then coming back to do it again, or coming back as a GM even?
Um, GM probably, yeah. Like I think that it would still be fun, but um, my focuses now are on different things. Hoping to, you know, make the new game as we've been talking about later, or as we will be talking about later. But yeah, I think that if I were to ever come back, it would be in the form of a GM.
So as somebody who was BOC and somebody who helped implement the system of draft picks being ordered based on relative GM skill, the draft is always considered to be like the most or one of the most exciting parts of the season, and that after the draft, the level of hype really just drops off until like the very end of the playoffs or very end of the regular season into the playoffs, where people are still trying to clinch right on the last couple of days, so you get some exciting games there. There's been a lot of talk recently about switching to other things like bidding and whatnot and auctions. Do you think that that would be a better solution for the LHL long term than something like the draft that we're so used to?
Long term for sure. You know, I think that if a lot more players started, playing the game, I think that a lot of the problem with the bidding system is just like the lack of people, like the lack of people who are like really into it. Just like the lack of resources, things like that. Like, and a lot of people just either like don't want to help or don't want to change. But like a new wave of people who are, enthusiastic about like, people who are coming from an esports background, finding this, like picking it up, seeing the potential in it, would definitely be very serious about it. But the game as it is right now, like it's a fun game. I think the draft is fun. Like that's all that it's ever supposed to be. And I think that for right now the draft is fun, but bidding in the future would be super exciting, like super exciting.
And are you one of the people that's in favor of having consistency amongst teams? So like you'd have somebody for more than just one season, or you could potentially have somebody for more than just one season after you bid for them or draft them, whatever the case is.
Yeah, for sure. And I think potentially is a very good word to put there because, like shit happens, and like since the game overall is just about fun. Like if you're not having fun, but whatever, if we introduce like contracts and like you have to stick with that team, they're like a lot of people would lose interest, I think. But until like you get people who either there's like money involved one day, or if people are more serious about it. But I think the league as it is right now is like the draft is fine.
Do you think NA is finally better than EU and Russia?
I haven't been keeping up with it, but as far as I'm like from when I left,
Based on the
like,
last time you played, yeah.
okay, yeah, no, I don't think so. I think that like when we played against them once, I think Gorka said it, and he said it really well. Is like our individual players, like the individual skills are, like are equal. Like some people are a lot better than other Russians, like some Russians, whatever. Like it's a very equal pool in terms of individual talent. But where the drop off is the team play, and I think that that's why like we've never really like bested a true like Russian team in international play because because of the team play, for sure.
You don't think if we played them on zero ping, like land situation, right, that we would be able to beat them in a best of 3 or best of 5, best of 7?
It's super interesting. If we get maybe best of 3 or best of 5, but I think that although anything can happen, like this is a game, Hockey Question Mark is a game where like the best team always doesn't win. Like you hit
It
post, you
emulates
miss your
hockey
shots.
well like that.
Yeah, for sure. There's like you can get unlucky bounces, and like you could be the 1 seed against the 8 seed and like get swept because of like a couple bad games. So I think that like it would be possible for sure, but in an ideal situation where like the better team won every game, we wouldn't beat the European team.
That's interesting to hear you say, because one of the last things we did together before you really like left was that NA versus Russia show match that I think Winters casted, and Winters and I spoke about it a bit during his interview, and that was where we were finally able to take a win off of a Russian team playing on a Russian server. If you remember, we lost that series 2-1, but
Yeah.
we got the win, and we actually threw a lead in game 2, which would have given us the clean sweep.
For sure.
But you think that that was sort of like a fluke, or?
I mean, mildly, like individual performances definitely can still shine. Was that tournament 5v5 or 4v4? Do you remember?
We were playing 4v4.
Okay. In my opinion, like that's at least a little bit why. Like going back to the differences that we were talking about of 4v4 and 5v5. 4v4 is a lot more like individual, skilled game. Like people who make like one really good play all of a sudden have like it's only them and the goalie sort of thing. But if there's an extra player there, those sort of chances are decreased. And although I remember that game, and I remember we played very well that game, but yeah, I still think that they're the better team, and that's why they won the series. Like we got a game, like we were improving, but still not better than them. Won the battle of not the war, sort of thing.
All right, interesting. I see. Personally, I think we can best them. I think it's hard to tell, right? Because we haven't even played them online in so long. Like that was really the last like legitimate international competition that we've done. So it's hard to know where we're at right now. And then there's also the discussions of, well, do you play 4v4 or 5v5? Like, where do we play on the server? There's always going to be a bunch of like issues like that that arise. So, which is unfortunate, but it would be a lot of fun to see in an ideal world where everybody has the same ping, like 40 or 0 even, right?
Yeah.
You get like some land situation going on. Who would be the best? And this is assuming that we would do like the all-star teams, like national teams, like Olympic teams, what they would
Yeah.
do for something like that, because that's what we always used to do. With the exception of, I think, the Friendship Cup was the only time we didn't really do that. But then we got the
In that
USA versus
situation, like,
Canada's, right?
sorry.
No, go ahead. Go ahead. I was going to change the subject a bit, so.
Oh, okay. In a zero ping situation, like it's hard to know what would happen, you know. Just because like we've never really done anything like that before, having like 8 players or 10 players strictly like on the same ping, just going at it type thing.
Yep.
Who knows? You know, because like that could affect individuals. Like, you know, like one player could have really bad ping on Russian servers, and when we play there, like they're basically useless. But zero ping to zero ping, like, yeah, who knows? I'll rescind my statements from before. Zero ping to zero ping, who knows?
Okay, but online you would favor the Russians.
Yep.
Fair. What about the Canadians versus Americans? Still stand
Canadians every
by
day.
Canada's better?
Every day of the week.
I can't remember if we ever had the third USA versus Canada best of 3. I know we had 2. USA won the first one off the Jesus goal, and Canada won the second one off you and Otto absolutely rocking us. But I can't remember if we ever did a third one.
I don't think we did. I think if we did, you know, like that would have been a bragging point for, you know, like for the rest of our careers. That would have been something that would have been brought up a bunch.
We're definitely gonna have to do that again then.
I'll come back
One
for
more for all
Canada versus USA.
for all the marbles. A best of 3
For
of
all the
best
marbles.
of 3s.
Yep. Plan it.
All right. I mean we can definitely do that. It would be a lot of fun.
It would be tons of fun.
All right, so last couple questions here. These are gonna relate more to the game and the community themselves rather than you as a player. So first one, what would you change about the game itself if you could?
You know, I don't think anything. You know, like if I were to change something about like the HQM as it exists now, as corny it is to say, like I don't think I would change much. I think, you know, like even the physics bounces, like, you know, it's fun. Like the game as it exists right now, it's fun. It's not as I'd want it to be, as a lot of people would want it to be, but I think, you know, like that's where we take the step forward. That's where we leave this hockey question mark in the dust and just start again. You know, like it's been a couple years, and I think, yeah, it's time to start anew.
And the really interesting thing about that it gets brought up sometimes, but I don't think is really appreciated enough, is if we go to a brand new game, we're all starting over, right?
Yeah,
So like who's good and who isn't gets completely reset. So that
absolutely.
would be, I think, the most interesting part about it is like which of the really good players stay good, which of the really good players just can't catch on with the new game, which of the players that were never considered really good become superstars, because that's the type of stuff that would happen, you know?
Yeah, and it'd be fascinating for sure.
So going off that a bit then, do you believe that Cryptic is ever going to turn 62 into something that is competitively playable?
I mean, who knows? You know, I don't know him personally. I think he said recently that like he wants to at least like work on it a little bit. You know,
Yep.
like something like that.
Yep.
Yeah, it's on the back burner for him though, and if he does, like, that'd be awesome. I think that it'd probably be super fun. Like, he's a really talented game developer, and as I'm learning, like what he's made is, you know, like it's not easy to replicate. It's and like adding new things on top of that, you know, like it's a challenge for sure, and especially with his project like Sub Rosa and other things that can actually like earn him his livelihood, at least in his view. He like thinks that it could, you know, earn it into him faster, or he enjoys making the game more, and you know, that's as much as it made us upset. Um, you know, it's kind of his right. Like, it's his intellectual property. He can do with it what he chooses. He was a little bit of a dick about it, which I don't think he should have been. But anyway, I'm not judging anyone. You know, if you're listening somehow, um, Like I'm not judging you at all. You're incredibly talented, but anyway, going back to the original question, I wouldn't change the game. I think it's fun. It's we've wasted thousands of hours on it. It's
I
a
think
classic.
GK said something similar where like he'd rather change the community than change the game, because then otherwise what have we spent hours and hours and hours perfecting if it winds up just becoming easier or something like that, or just totally different.
Yeah, fair. I feel like a little bit of a waste.
So I asked you if you would come back as POC or as GM. Will you ever return to the game as a player again, or are you just gonna hold out for Matt's Hockey 2.0?
Yeah, I like I've been playing the game here and there just to like I try to see like what's going on behind the scenes at least a little bit. Like I try to visualize like what he's done, how he's like made the game how it is. But yeah, I don't see me ever like coming back as a serious player. Like I'll come back for NA versus USA. I'll duke it out with you Americans.
You
But
mean
yeah,
you'll lose, is what you're trying to say. You'll come back to lose, right?
well, I guess we'll see when it happens.
I'm definitely gonna need to plan this now.
Mm-hmm.
Alright, so that's a no for you coming back to the game then?
Yeah, this game I'm not coming back
You have a much stronger willpower than I do, my friend.
to.
Alright, so last question. This sort of relates to what we were just talking about actually, your new game. Are you still actively working on it? How's it coming? Like, can you give us some updates about it?
For sure, I am still working on it. It's a personal project for me. For people who don't know, like I'm a computer science major right now. I'm still 18 years old. Just finished my first year of university. But like I'm super into it. It's something that it's not only a service, or I hope it's people appreciate it, and I hope that I'm doing like a service, to the people who like want a better game, a different game. But it's just something that could go on my resume. It could be something that if people play it, like if it works out, and like at least like some people switch to it and have fun with it, like it could be something that could further my career. So it's not something that I'm taking lightly. It's something that I'm having a lot of fun doing. I'm learning a lot. It's like the second game I've ever made. But like slowly but surely, I think I'm getting closer to a final product. Not to get anyone excited, like I don't think it's close. But yeah, it's something that I'm actively working on, and hopefully I can show you guys like some screenshots soon, things like that. Yeah,
When
it's
do you
been fun.
think you'll have a like a multiplayer demo or
Oh,
like beta or alpha, whatever you want to call it, available?
it's hard to gauge, because like the problem for me right now, like I think I can figure out like the gameplay mechanics that I want to add, things like that. Like a lot of them have been just like been working on them for a little bit, and then like they slowly start to come, and they'll be made better and better. But it's really the multiplayer, as Omaha and Stu and all the people. And when I posted the original thread to it, if anyone remembers, it's a lot more difficult of a challenge than I expected it to be. But that being said, like it's another thing that I have to overcome. And once I do, like once I figure that out, and like I think I'm getting relatively close. From there, like the mechanics should hopefully just start, like I should just start like nailing them off. I
I like
can't. I don't want to gauge a time. I don't want to get anyone, like if anyone's anticipating it, like excited or anything. Again, it's just like it's a personal project while I'm working full time.
I like the
Um,
optimism there. When I figure it out, not if, when I figure it out. I
no,
like it.
no, for sure. That's why,
What
like, I've
about?
been. Sorry, you go.
No, go ahead. Go ahead.
I've been mentioning it all podcasts because it's something that, like, I'm super excited about. I played this game as long as anyone else, and I think I've had a lot of problems with it and a lot of things that I've wanted changed, and it's kind of cool to be put in a position where I can change it, and I can change it with the community and the other people that have had a lot of fun with this game, and want to see something better, see something different. And with time, I hope that I can bring it to everyone.
What about Matsketball? How's that coming?
Oh,
I don't know if you know that that's what we call it, but that is
that's
that
hilarious.
is the unofficial name, Matsketball.
I'll name it that when it comes out. Hopefully, it's on the back burner. I think I started that because I sort of anticipated that it would be easier to to make than a hockey game. I started it. It was like my introduction to. I'm using Unity and my, practicing like getting caught up with C# and things like that. It'll probably when it comes out, it'll come out after I'm done at least like the first build of the hockey game because that's my priority right now for sure.
What I like to hear. All right, well, that's it for me. I'm all out of questions. So any other shout outs you want to give? You want to say hi to anybody?
Hi to the community, I guess, like I've realized that like growing up it's a pretty cool thing that everyone's been doing, and the fact that you're all still kicking despite how much cancer you have through your bodies.
Riddled with it, yeah.
It's pretty cool, yeah. Just hello to everybody that I was friends with through this game.
Somehow we keep defying death. I don't understand it, but somehow we're doing it. All right, Matt, thank you very much for joining me. I hope everybody enjoyed this episode with the one and only Matt, or Matt Gull, or Wheelchair SP, however you want
Don't
to
even.
refer to him as. Your old school name. And yeah, hope to hear from you guys on how you like the show. Thanks.
See ya.